that is Anaconda platform. So after Anaconda, we have one more platform, that is PyCharm. So here these are the major platforms for Python programming. So if you want to go with the basic programming, so better to go with this IDLE, Integrated Development Learning Environment, which is developed by Python organization. So those who are maintaining the standard Python, so they are updating everything in this IDLE only. So here it is a very lightweighted application. It has very less size. So you can use this application very conveniently. So if you want to do basic Python programming, better to go with this IDLE only. So here it is the easiest platform, which have just a 27 to 30 MB of size. So here it is a very lightweighted application for Python programming. So coming to next platform, here it is a Anaconda platform. So here it is a huge platform which is developed by Anaconda organization. Those are working on data science. So here it is a huge platform which is developed for data science. So in the future, if you want to work on data science, so better to go with this platform. Why means, so whatever the required modules related to this data science, those are already predefined in this Anaconda platform. So here it is a file. So here it is a application, so which will be helpful to you work on data science. So the next platform is PyCharm. So here it is a platform which is developed for web development. So if you want to work on web development in the future, so then better to go with this platform. So for the web development, so here it is the best platform. Whereas for data science, Anaconda is the best platform. So I will explain you how these platforms will work. Sorry, how to use this Anaconda platform in this session. So here, next thing is different versions of Python. So here, these are the major platforms for Python programming. So for the basics, you can use this IDLE platform or Anaconda platform. So remember this thing, PyCharm is a very high-end application. So if you install this application in your laptop might be slowed down. So better don't install this PyCharm platform in your laptop. So if you want to work on Python or data science, so better to go with this IDLE or this Anaconda platforms only. So after this, different versions of Python. So while installing this thing, you are getting doubt like which version I need to install. So whether I can install Python 2.7 version or Python 3.x version. Then what is the difference between both the versions? You might get that kind of doubts. So for that, simple answer is, so here Python versions evaluated with Python 1.0 version only. So out of all the versions, we have two major series. So first one is the Python 2.x series, and the next one is the Python 3.x series. So here I'm saying X. Why I'm saying X means, so here in the both the versions, there are a lot of updates coming day by day. That's why here I'm saying 2.x version as well as 3.x version. So here initially this Python 2.x version developed for hardware development. So here initially it is developed for hardware development. Whereas coming to this Python 3.x version, so here it is developed for software development. So this Python 3.x initially developed for software development. So in between these two versions, we have very little bit differences. So we will discuss those differences while, so I will explain you all those things while explaining the concepts of Python. So meanwhile, so I don't explain each and every point now itself. So if I explain you all those points, you might not remember all those things. So after this thing, so here it is a 2.x version is a series which is developed for hardware development, whereas this Python 3.x version initially developed for software development. As days are passing, the Python organization guys updating each and every library in Python 3.x version only. So here, so as day by day, Python 3.x organization guys updating each and every library in Python 3.x version only. So that's why, so complete future of Python in the future will be depends on Python 3.x version only. So from the industry also, by this year, Python 2.x series will be extincted from the industry. So if you are a fresh learner, those who are, so if you are interested to learn Python, so better to go with this Python 3.x version. Why? Because so here it is a platform which is mostly you, yeah, unable to listen you. So as I already told you, So you need to turn on your mobile phone audio. Then only you will get my voice. So if anyone have those guys friends, inform them, call them, so tell the process to turn on their audio. So here we have two major versions of Python. One is 2.x version and one is 3.x version. So if you want to learn Python from the basics onwards, so if you are a fresh learner, better to go with this 3.x version only. Why? Because nowadays, so this becomes a feature of Python. That's why, so better to go with this Python 3.x version only. So in this series itself, so that is not only the difference. So the Python organization guy is updating each and every library in this 3.x version only. So here last version of Python 2.x version is Python 2.7.7 only. Whereas coming to Python 3.x version, initially I started with Python 3.5 version. So after this thing, I used Python 3.6 version in 2018. So after that thing, so standard version of Python nowadays, most of the guys using is Python 3.7 version. Whereas if you observe the standard Python organization website, that is www.python.org. So you will get recent version as Python 3.8 version. So here Python 3.8 also came into existence. So here lot of updates are coming in this Python 3.x series. That's why it becomes the feature of Python. So that is about that thing. So after the thing, so here you might aware of complete Python. So I will explain you. So I will explain you all the concepts from the basics onwards. So if you are aware of all these things, stay calm, or else if you don't listen the class also, that is not a big problem to you, those who are aware of Python. But those who forget entire Python, for them it will be helpful. So here out of all these things, I will explain you first thing. So how to use this Anaconda platform. So you might install this platform. So after this thing, you need to go to the search item. So you need to go into this search icon. Yeah, you need to go to the search icon. After going into the search icon, you need to type Anaconda. So here you need to type Anaconda. So after typing this thing, here it is showing Anaconda Navigator. So if you install this thing, you will get this thing. If you don't install this thing, you won't get this thing. So here, if you install this thing, it will show you like this. So here you have Anaconda PowerShell, you have Anaconda prompt. So if you want to install any libraries, we need to use this Anaconda prompt. So whereas if you want to use this Anaconda application, we need to click on open option. So in the search icon, we need to search Anaconda. So after that thing, we need to click on the open symbol. So whenever you click on this open, so it will be loaded. So here it is a very huge application which is developed for data science. That's why to load this application, it will take some time. So here it is loading. So same thing. So if you want to install Python ideally, so better to go with www.python.org. So there you will get lot of, so there you will get all the versions of basic Python. So here it is loading. So wait for 2 minutes. It will be open. So it is a very huge platform. It will take approximately 2 to 3 minutes of time to open this thing. So here, if you are opening first time this application, so it will ask you the browser to open this application. So choose the Chrome browser to open this Anaconda. So that is the optimized or best browser for programming. So better to choose Chrome platform. So Chrome browser as a default browser to open this Anaconda. So it will load for a few minutes. So here it is the Anaconda platform. So here, if you observe this Anaconda platform, so here, as I already told you, it is a platform which is developed for data science. So if you observe this thing, so here we have lot of programming platform. So out of all these platforms, so here Jupyter Lab and Jupyter Notebook, Spider, these are the platforms which are designed for Python programming. Whereas if you want to work on R language, so here it is the R Studio, which is for R programming. If you want to work on data science with the R language, so here it is the suggestible platform. Whereas if you want to process the big data, so here if you want to analyze the big data, if you want to write the big data programming, for that we have Orange 3 tool. As well as for visualization purpose, we have GlueViz library. So here it is a huge module or huge application which is developed for data science. So out of all these things, this Jupyter Notebook as well as this Spider are the suggestible platforms for Python programming. So throughout this course, I will explain you each and everything with this Jupyter Notebook. So for that purpose, here I am launching the Jupyter Notebook. So whenever you click on this launch option, it will ask you to choose the default browser. So whereas I kept a default browser as a Chrome browser, so that means in my laptop it will be open with the Chrome browser. So it is also loading. So we need to launch this thing. Yeah. So here, whenever you launch this thing, so it will be open with a default browser. So I clicked it, I launched this thing 2 times. That's why it opened 2 times. So here I'm closing one thing, and here I'm waiting for another thing. So here it is the platform. So here it is showing all the folders. So wherever you want to create the Python file, you need to go into that folder. So here I want to create a new file on the desktop. Here I'm clicking on desktop. So in this desktop, I want to create a new file openly. So for that purpose, so while going into this desktop, here I'm going to new option. So here in the new option, we have Python 3 option. So here I'm clicking on this thing. So whenever you click on that thing, so here one notebook will be created on the desktop openly. So whatever the folder you choose, on that folder, one new file will be created for Python programming. So it will be like a notebook only. So here it is loading. Wait for a minute. So here it is a platform. So here you can write any basic program. So here I'm saying a plus b. So here initially I'm defining. So here directly I'm saying 2 plus 3. And so if you want to execute the any line in this, so here, remember this thing in the Python single line comments are written with hash symbol. So here, single line comments. So if you want to write the single line comments, we need to use this hash symbol. Hash is a symbol which is used to write single line comments. And if you want to execute the any line in this thing, so if you want to execute the initial in this thing, we need to enter shift plus enter key. We need to press shift plus enter key at a time. So if you press shift enter, this shell will be executed. So if you observe this thing, 2 plus 3, which is nothing but 5 only. Whereas I kept this single line comments as well as this shift plus enter in the comments. That's why it is coming in the form of comments only. So here it is a very helpful platform for Python programming. So here you can write the text information also. So if you want to write the some text information, here we need to choose markdown option. So here I'm writing like it is a basic class. So here I'm saying Python basics. So I want to keep this thing as an heading. So for that purpose, here I'm specifying 1 star and I'm keeping this thing. The next again we need to execute this line. How to execute this thing? We need to press shift enter. So whenever you click on shift enter, so here one heading will be created. So after this thing, I want to keep the contents in this thing itself. So here I want to write some contents. So here I want to write some contents. So here we are discussing data types. So after these data types, we need to discuss identifiers. So some blah blah blah. So here we need to discuss some concepts. So we need to specify that thing in the comments. So for that purpose, I want to highlight this thing. I want to highlight this data type. So for that purpose, we need to specify the. So if you want to highlight something, we need to specify star and star, double stars both the sides. So whereas if you want to keep the heading with a smaller size, we need to use less amount of hashes. So here I want to use 4 hashes. So here if you increase the number of hashes, here we are reducing the size of the text. So if you want to reduce the heading size, we need to specify you need to increase the number of hashes. So minimum size of the heading is here you can specify with the 7 hashes. So here if you specify with the 7 hashes means that is the smallest heading. So here it is about writing something in the Jupyter notebook. So here if you want to add the new shell in between these shells, so here we have plus option. So here if you click on this plus option, new shell will be added in between the anything. So here if you want to remove the any shell, if you want to remove this shell, so here we have this scissor symbol. So if you click on that thing, that will be removed. So here this is the basic usage of this thing. So after this thing, if you want to modify the created file name, so here you need to click on this untitled. So here you can keep any new name. So here I'm writing name as Python basics. So here I kept this name as Python basics. This will be replaced with Python basics. So whereas after writing this entire text, if you want to download this file in the future, so for that purpose, you need to go to this file option. So in this option, you will get download option. So here, whatever the extension you want, but by using that extension, you can download this file also. So here, I want to download this file as an HTML file. I am clicking on this thing. So whenever you click on this thing, this will be downloaded with .html extension. So here it is a very helpful and very easy and very convenient platform for Python programming. Whereas if you want to use the IDLE, you can also use IDLE also. So here how to use that thing, I will explain you now. So first you need to go to the Python organization. After going into the Python organization, you will get different versions of that thing. There you download the Python 3.7 version and install that thing. So after installing that thing, come to search icon. Here type IDLE. So here IDLE stands for Integrated Development Learning Environment. Then you need to click on open. So whenever you click on this thing, this platform will be open in your laptop. So while installing this thing, you might get one more doubt, that is, so whether I can install 32-bit platform or 64-bit platform. So better to go with 64-bit platform. Why? Because our laptops also belongs to 64-bit platform only, as well as, so if you want to work on deep learning concepts in the future, so if you go with the Python 32-bit version, so it is not supported for deep learning concepts. So if you want to work with the deep learning concepts also in the future, better to go with Python 64-bit platform only. Whether it is the Anaconda platform, it is a IDLE. So here it is a Python IDLE. So in the IDLE, we can work both in script mode as well as shell mode. So here it is a Python 3.7 shell. So here you can do programming in interactive mode. So here I'm writing some statement like 2 plus 3. So it will return directly output. So here I want to print my name. So for that purpose, here I'm writing something in comments. So here I'm writing my name in comment. It will return same thing in the output. So here, whatever the thing you are doing in this shell, that will be written. So that will be in the interactive mode only. So if you want to get some output, you need not to specify the print statement also. So in the script, it will return direct output. Whereas coming to shell, we will discuss that thing later. So if you want to open any new shell, we need to go to this. So here file option. In this file option, if you click on this thing, you will get new file option. So here if you click on this thing, you can write any program. So here I'm writing same thing. Here I'm writing 2 plus 3 only, and I'm saving this file. So after writing something in this shell, so in this script, we need to save that program. So here first we need to save that program. So for that purpose, shortcut is Control S. So after this thing, we need to give this file name. So here I'm giving file name as first program, and I'm saving this program openly on the desktop. So here I'm saving first. So we need not to specify the extension. By default, it will be take extension as .py. So if you want to run that program, so here we have run option. In this, we have run module option. Whereas shortcut to run this thing is F5. So whenever you click on this F5, it will be executed. Whereas it is not an interactive mode programming. So if you want to observe the output for this thing, we need to use print function. Here, print is a function which is used to observe the output. So now I'm saving this program and I'm running this program. Whenever you run this program, then it is returning output. So if you want to get the output from the script, we need to use this print function. Whereas if you want to work on this shell, we need not to specify the any print statement. So here it is called as interactive mode programming. It is called as basic script mode programming. So that is about Python ideally. So if you want to work with the any platform, you can use any platform for basic programming. But for the data science, for machine learning, better to go with the Anaconda only. So here we have a lot of options. So before that thing, we will discuss all that stuff in the future classes. So in the today's classes, first we need to discuss the keywords. So whatever the language you consider, as you're already aware of this thing, so machines can't understand the human language. So in order to understand some words to machine, we are giving some words. Those are called as keywords. So keywords are the reserved words which their meaning is already predefined to your platforms. That means your laptop is, your computer is aware of those words. Those are called as keywords. Keywords are the reserved words which their meaning is already predefined to your platform. So out of all those things, so in the Python 3.x series, so in the previous versions means below Python 3.6 version, we have 33 keywords. So we have 33 keywords. So after that thing, above 3.6 version, that is in Python 3.7 version, so here we have 35 keywords. So that means in the current version of Python, we have 35 keywords. So to get all the keywords, so here I am clicking help. So here I am asking help to Python. So whenever you click on this help, it will return the documentation page. So it will proceed you to documentation page of Python. So here, whatever the help you want, that will be written that thing. So here we need to get all the keywords present in the Python. So for that purpose, here I'm typing keywords. Whenever you type keywords here, it will return all the keywords present in the Python. So here you can observe all the 35 keywords here. So here we are observing this thing on Python 3.7 shell. That's why it is giving the keywords corresponding to by Python 3.7 version. So whereas if you install Python 3.6 version, it will return 33 keywords only. So whereas coming to this Python 3.7 version, we have 35 keywords. So out of all those 35 keywords, if you observe, this async and await are newly added keywords in Python 3.7 version. This async and await are newly added keywords to Python 3.7 version. So remember one thing. So in the Python, all the keywords are small case letters only, except true, false, and none. So true, false, and none are starts with capital letter. So if you observe remaining all the keywords, all are small case letters only. Remember this thing. It is a very important thing. So while using this basic programming, while using the keywords, you might get a confusion. So to avoid that confusion, remember this thing, all the keywords are small case letters only. So after the keywords, we have variables and identifiers. So as you're already aware of all the stuffs, I think. So here, variables are the placeholders which are used to store the values. Whereas identifier is, it is an anything which is used to represent a variable. So here, variables are the placeholders which are used to store the values. Whereas identifiers are the symbols which are used to represent anything. So here identifiers are the symbols which are used to represent anything. So here if you want to do the any programming in this thing, first we need to quit this thing. So to quit this session, we need to click on Q. So here we need to click on Q to terminate this thing. So here it is coming into basic thing. So after this thing, so I will explain you this thing in the Anaconda platform. So I want to open the Anaconda platform. So here we have Anaconda platform. So here I want to add new shell. So here in this shell, so I will explain you the rules to define a variable. Those are called as identifiers basically. So here I'm saying, initially I'm saying a equals to 10. So coming to this thing, it is a dynamic programming language. Remember this thing, it is a very important thing. Coming to Python, it is a dynamic programming language. So coming to Java, C, C++, those are static programming language. Means if you want to define a one variable, before defining the variable itself, you need to specify the data type. So here in the other languages, if you want to specify this thing, it will return type error. So coming to Python, it won't return type error. So here we need not to specify the data type. So based on this value, memory will be allocated to this A in the runtime. That is nothing but dynamic programming language. So here, so we are discussing the rules to define a variable. Those are called as identifiers. So first rule is, so variables, so here we can use characters in the range of small a to small z as well as capital A to capital Z as an identifier. So if you use these symbols, so small a or capital A or capital A or capital Z, small a or small z, it won't return any error. That means, so we can use characters in the range of small a to capital Z as an variable. So the next rule is digits can't be used as an identifier. So if you use this thing, so here if you say 1 equals to 10, we can't store this value in this variable. So can't assign to literal. That means, so here digits can't be used as a variable. So here special symbols also can't be used as a variable. So if you try this thing, it also returns error. So that means, so special symbols also not useful as a variables. Whereas digit followed by character also not used as a identifier or variable. So we can't represent variable like this thing also. Whereas reverse is possible. So if you want to represent a variable, we can use this thing. That means digit followed by character is not acceptable, whereas character followed by digit is acceptable. So if you want to represent a variable, you can represent like this thing also. Whereas we can use names also. So you can use any name as a variable. So you can use any variable as a, so you can use any name or word as a variable. These are the rules to define an identifier. First rule is characters in the range of small a to capital Z can be used as a variable. Second rule is digits can't be used as a variable. Third rule is special symbols can't be used as a variable. And the next rule is digit followed by character also not acceptable. The next character followed by digit is acceptable, and words can be used as a variable. The next rule is in between the word spaces are not allowed. In between the word spaces are not allowed. If you do this thing, it will return syntax error. These are the rules to define an identifier. So don't worry, this is the basics on basic concepts class. In the future classes, we will discuss all the concepts. So in the next class, we will discuss operators. So after finishing the operators, we will discuss strings concept. So after that thing, we will discuss all the standard data types. Those are list, tuple, set, and dictionary. So after finishing those concepts, we will discuss conditional statements and loops. Then after we will see loop transfer statements. So after that thing, we will discuss functions concept. After finishing functions concept, so we will discuss modules concept. So till that, it will comes under core Python. So after finishing core Python, we will move to advanced Python. In the advanced Python, we have modules like numerical Python, pandas, matplotlib. Those are essential modules for machine learning. First, we will discuss all those modules. After discussing those modules, we will proceed to machine learning. So the next we need to discuss primitive data types present in the Python. So primitive means basic data types. So remember this thing, primitive or basic, both are same only. So here, next thing is primitive or basic data types present in Python. So here coming to all languages, we have basic data types like that. Like all the languages in the Python also, we have basic data types. So in the Python, we have basic data types as integers, floating point numbers, as well as complex numbers. And the next after complex numbers we have boolean expressions, and string data type. So here in the Python, we don't have special data type as a character. So here characters also represented in the form of strings only. So these five are the primitive or basic data types which are present in the Python. So as I already told you, it is a dynamic programming language. Based on the value only, memory will be allocated to the variable. Based on the value only, memory will be allocated to variable. So here I'm saying a equals to 10. So after this thing, here I'm saying b equals to some 10.5. After this thing, here I'm saying c equals to 10 plus. So here I'm saying 3j. So remember this thing in the Python, complex numbers are represented by this way. So here 10 plus 3j. In the mathematics, we will write this imaginary part with I. Whereas while defining this platform, so he used complex part with j. That means, so here 3j is nothing but it is the imaginary part of that number. So after this thing, true, false, and none. These are called as Boolean expressions. So here I'm using this thing. After this thing, here I'm saying I'm defining one string. Anything is defined in single quotations, double quotation, that will be considered as a string. So here I'm saying string. So here, these are the 5 primitive or basic data types present in the Python. So as I already told you, it is a dynamic programming language. Before defining the variable, we need not to specify the data type. So whereas in the runtime, based on the values, memory will be allocated to this variable. So here, so if you want to know the data type of each and every variable, we need to use type function. So here, a type is a function which is used to know the data type, which is used to know the data type. So in order to know the data type of any variable, we need to use type function. So here I'm saying type of a. So here it will return output like integer. So again, I'm doing same thing. So I want to know the type of B. So whenever you check type of B, it will return floating point value. So whenever you check type of C, it will return complex. So here, if you are checking for this thing, it will return output like. So if you check this thing for A, it will return output like integer. So if you check same thing for B, it will return output like floating point value. So whereas if you check same thing for C, it will return output like. So if you check same thing for C, it will return complex. Whereas if you do same thing for next thing, so here I'm copy pasting same thing. So here I'm replacing this thing with D. Whenever you try with the D, it will return Boolean. So after this thing, so here I'm trying this thing with E. So here it is returning string data type. So here in the runtime, it is assigning the memory to the variable based on the value. That is nothing but dynamic programming language. So in order to know the logical address of the variable, we need to use ID function. So here ID is a function which is used to know the data type, which is used to know the logical address of the variable. To know the logical address of the variable, we need to use this thing, logical address of variable. We need to use this ID function. So here I'm defining a equals to some 10. Again, I'm defining b equals to some 12. And I want to know the logical address of a. So here I want to know the logical address of a. So if you try this thing, so it is returning error. Oh yeah, here we need to specify this thing in comments. That's why it is giving error. So here it is the logical address assigned by your CPU. So here it is a logical address which is assigned to A. So again, so I want to check the logical address of both A and B. So here I want to know the logical address of A as well as B. So here these are the logical addresses of A and B. So here it is the logical address of A and it is the logical address of B which is assigned by my CPU. So again I am taking one more example. Here I am taking C equals to same value, that is 12 only. And I want to know the logical address of C. So here, if you observe this example, here logical address of B and C both are same. So here, if you observe the logical address of B as well as C, here both are same. So here it is called as memory pooling. It is called as memory pooling. It is a very important interview question. Remember this thing. Memory pooling. So for the different variables, if you assign the same memory location, that is called as memory pooling. For the different variables, if you use or if you allocate same memory location, that is called as memory pooling. So as I already told you, Python is a dynamic programming language. So here, based on the value only, we are allocating the memory, and this variable works as labels only. So here itself I'm defining a equals to some 10. Here I'm saying b equals to some 12. Here I'm saying c equals to some 10. So after doing this thing, I want to print the logical addresses of all these three variables. So here I'm saying print id of a, comma, id of b, comma. So here I need to specify, I need to do this thing for id of c. I want to check the logical addresses of all the variables. So if you observe all the logical addresses, so here logical address of this a and c will be c. Why? Because here we are defining the same values. So here memory pooling means for the different variables. So here, whereas these values are same, but these variables are different. So for different variables, if you assign same memory location, that is called as memory pooling. That is called as memory pooling. We are following this memory pooling for the integers in the range of -5 to 256. We are following this memory pooling for integers in the range of -5 to plus 256. Whereas coming to all strings, we are following this memory pooling. So for all strings, we are following this memory pooling. Coming to remaining data types, we are not following this memory pooling. So here, memory pooling is worked for integers in the range of -5 to plus 256. And for all the strings, we are following the memory pooling. You might get a question like, why we are not following memory pooling for floating point numbers? So here, to make you clear that thing, I will take same example. Here I'm taking d equals to some 10.0. And again, I'm taking e equals to some 10.0 only. After this thing, here I'm applying id function on the both the things. So here I'm applying id function on both the d and e. So here I'm saying id of a, sorry, id of d, comma, we need to apply same thing on id of e. So here if you do this thing, so we will get logical addresses differently. So here for the floating point values, we are not following the memory pooling. So the reason behind this thing is, so if you consider integers in the range of smaller range, that means, so small integers takes the variable size or value size as a 4 bytes. So whereas if you want to represent the floating point number, it will take 8 bytes of memory. So if you want to represent the complex numbers, it will take 16 bytes of memory. So here, so for the integer, so coming to strings, it will take 1 byte of memory only. So here, coming to smaller data type like integers at floating point data types, those are not taking the much memory. That means we can search the memory location easily. For the purpose, we are using memory pooling for smaller range. So whereas coming to these floating point numbers or complex numbers, sorry, I will explain you this thing in very easiest way. That is, let assume, so any language, if you consider any language, so there are two major parameters. One is accuracy, second one is the performance of the language. So if you consider if it is a smaller amount of data, so let us assume, so if you are opening one small sized mobile, one small sized movie or any video in your mobile, that will be open in quicker manner. Whereas if you want to open 1 GB or 2 GB or 3 GB file of mobile, it will take much amount of time. So here, in order to save amount of time, we are not following memory pooling for these floating point numbers. So if you consider integers or strings, it will take very less amount of memory so that we can easily search the value for each and every time. So whereas coming to this floating point values, irrespective of the values, so based on the variable itself, we are assigning the memory directly. So here, to save the execution time, we are not following the memory pooling for floating point numbers as well as complex numbers. That is the major reason behind we are not following memory pooling for floating point numbers as well as complex numbers. So here it is the comparison between static programming languages as well as dynamic programming languages. So here it is the easiest comparison between those things. So if you consider this thing, so here these are the starting languages and these are the dynamic programming languages. So coming to this thing, so here in the static programming languages, we are giving importance to the variable. So here we are giving importance to the variables. Whereas coming to dynamic programming languages, we are giving importance to the values. So here, if you observe this thing, here I'm saying int x equals to 20, whereas here I'm saying directly x equals to 20. So here for the 20, here I am assigning the memory, and that will be stored at this 6000 memory location, and x will be the name for this thing, that is called as label. So here in the Python, we are following the memory labeling model. So here x is the label for this 20. Whereas coming to this thing, here we are giving importance to the variable. In this memory location, we are storing this 20. So in the next time you are saying int x equals to 30. If you say int x equals to 30, so here this variable will be remain same. That means here we are not following the, so here we are not changing the logical address of the variable. So address remains same. If you observe, address remains same. Whereas in this memory location, this 20 will be replaced with this 30. So if you want to do same thing in this Python, so in the Python, so here new value we need to assign new memory location. So here memory location will be changed to 6000 to 8000, and here this label will be jumps from this location to this location. That means whatever the value you are updating at the last instance, that will be considered as final value. And here we are giving importance to the value. So here here we are giving importance to the value. That is the thing. So that is the comparison between static and dynamic programming languages. So coming to next thing, so here it is a one more example. So here it is a example for memory pooling. So here initially I'm saying x equals to 30 as well as y equals to 30. So here we are giving importance to the value. 30 will be stored at this location, and y will be stored at this location. So here y will be stored at this location. So here y will be stored at this location. So here which is prepared by me. So after completion of the basic Pythons or advanced Python, after completion of this entire Python, I will forward you the entire Python content which is prepared by me. So here, these are the primitive data types. After this primitive data types, we have one more concept called input and output statement. So here, if you want to print something, we need to use print function directly. So it is not like the low-level languages or mid-level languages or high-level languages. It's a very high-level languages. So here, if you want to print something directly, we need to specify the print statement only. So in the print statement here, I want to execute this statement. So here I'm saying 2 plus 3. So whenever you use this thing, it will return the output. So here output statements are nothing but, so if you want to display the sum output, whatever the thing you are using, that is nothing but output statement. So here if you want to show something in the output, we need to use print function. So here print is a function which is used to display something in the output. Whereas if you want to take the input, we have input function. So if you want to take any user defined input, we need to use input function. So here input is a function which is used to take any user defined value. So here I'm seeing this thing, I'm applying this thing. So here it is directly asking me to, here it is giving a box directly. So here I'm entering 4. So after this thing, I am observing what is there in A. So here it is giving 4, okay. Whereas here it is not giving anything to enter. So if you want to write something to show the content to enter the value, you can write that thing in the comments inside this input function. So here input is a function which is used to take any user defined input, whereas print is a function which is used to show something in the output. So here I want to write some text like enter A. So after this thing, I am executing this portion. So here, while executing this portion, so previously we did not enter the A value. So that means it will create an infinite loop. So here, so while executing this shell, it will return this star symbol. That means it is still running. Whereas here you will get full kernel. So I am restarting this kernel. So for that purpose, we need to click on this restart symbol. So after clicking on that restart kernel, here I am clicking on this thing. So here again, I want to execute this portion. So here it is asking me to enter a value. So here I'm entering a value as 5. So as you already aware of this thing, type is a function which is used to know the data type. So here I'm saying type of A. Whenever you say type of A, it returns a data type corresponding to this thing. So whenever you use input function in Python 3.x version, it will return data in the form of string. So whereas here I want to take two user defined values and I want to add two user defined values. So for that purpose, I am taking one more user defined value. So here I'm saying enter B. So here I'm saying enter B, and I'm running this portion and I want to add these two things. So here I want to add all those two things. So here I'm entering A value as some 3 and B value as some 5. Here we need to get output like 30. So here we need to get output like 8. Whereas here we are getting output in the form of 35. Why we are getting this thing? So why means, so here it is written input function will return output in the form of string. So in order to convert the string data type in the form of integer, we need to apply typecasting functions. So in order to convert one data type into another data type, we need to use typecasting function. So typecasting is nothing but process of converting one data type into another data type is called as typecasting. Process of converting one data type into another data type is called as typecasting. So here we have 5 primitive data types. So if you want to convert any data type into integer, we have int typecasting function. If you want to convert some data type in the form of floating point, we have float typecasting function. If you want to convert something in the form of bool, we have bool function. If you want to convert something in the form of complex, we have complex function. Like that, if you want to convert some data type in the form of, so what is the once more data type? String data type. We need to use string function. Whereas by default data type is the string data type. That's why we need not to use this data type typecasting function. So here these are the typecasting functions which are used to convert one data type into other data type. So here for this input, here I'm applying int typecasting function. That means here I want to convert this user defined string data in the form of integer. For that purpose, here I am using int typecasting function. So here int is a typecasting function, which is, so here int is a typecasting function which is used to convert any value in the form of integer. So here I'm running this cell. It is asking me to enter A value and it is asking me to enter B value. I entered A and B values. It will return sum of these two things, 3 plus 5, which is nothing but 8 only. So here I'm observing the type of A. So whenever you check the type of A, it will be converted in the form of integer. So remember this thing. So difference between, note down this point, difference between 2.7 version as well as Python 3.x version. So the first difference is, so here in the Python 3.2.7 version, print is a keyword. So if you observe in the Python 2.7 version, so in the Python 2.7 version, print is a keyword. Whereas coming to Python 3.x version, print is a function. That is the first difference. In the Python 2.7 version, print is a keyword. Whereas coming to Python 3.x version, it is a function. So like that, second difference is, so by default, user defined data type in Python 3.x version is string data type. Whereas same thing, if you try in Python 2.7 version, it returns the output in the form of integer. So that means by default, user defined data type in Python 2.7 version, that is input function, will take integer value by default. Whereas in this thing, we are taking the string data. So whereas if you want to take the string data in Python 2.7 version, we need to use this function, raw underscore input function. So if you want to take some string as an input, we need to take raw input function. That is about Python 2.7 version. Till now, we got these two differences between this Python 3.x version as well as 2 version. So here, if you want to take any user defined input, we need to use input function. So by default, input function returns output in the form of string. So if you want to convert the string data into any desired data type, we need to apply these typecasting functions. Typecasting is nothing but converting one data type into another data type is called as typecasting. So here type is the function which is used to know the data type. Then the next ID is the function